This is the Ethereum one-day reading for June 6, 2023. It's currently May 17th, 2023, 10:08 p.m. Eastern Time. The shuffle file we're about to play for the June 6 reading was created on May 6, 2023 at 10:34 p.m. Eastern Time. That's this file right here. So the overall theme and behavior for the day, we have a period of volatility and a sharp drop that stands out in that period of volatility as the overall theme. Behavior around the highest high, we have a breakout on a one-day scale taking us into the high, and we meet a key resistance level from which point we break down with consecutively lower spikes up on the way down. Behavior around the lowest low, we have a sell-off from a prominent peak on a one-day chart. It'll stand out, and we have a notable sell-off into the low off of that peak. I'm advised to trade around a period of advised to trade around a period of rotation that increases with bullish momentum as we move forward in time. In the first 2 hours between midnight and 2 a.m., we have a rally that along a diagonal trend line that ends with a fast sudden move higher and then a breakdown through that diagonal trend line. With increasing volatility on the way down, and there's a prominent low for the day in there in that first 2 hour period, and then between 2 and 4 we have out of an oversold trough, we have a notable move higher standing out on a one-day chart. We also have a correlation to the Queen of Swords, so we should see some volatility in there. Probably taking us back down there. There's a trade opportunity between roughly 4 and 6 a.m. When we decline to and through support on a one-day scale, and we meet a second support, at which point we rotate sideways along that support. There's a trade opportunity in there as well, possibly even a day trade in there, where we go from like this prominent move higher, where we could open up a short position. And then we see this decline to and through support to meet a second support and rotate sideways. When we're rotating sideways after meeting that second support, I'd close out of that short position for a quick trade. Interesting. I'm actually then being advised in the midst of like there's a peak that forms like a new local high. So it doesn't mean a highest high, but like after making those lows, there should be a new local high. And where we break through resistance between 6 and 8. We stay above it briefly, and we break back down through the same price level shortly thereafter. In the midst of that peak through the resistance and then back down, there's an opportunity there to open up a short position. It may be closer to 6, but somewhere in that like 6 to 8 o'clock hour. We likely revisit the low, is my sense. We have the June low correlator here. The June, if you look at the 1 month for the low correlator, we have the works card. It appears here. It's a day after we have a correlation to the low, and we're revisiting a support level that was recently revisiting a support level that we recently met, as foretold by the Hermit card. So chances are we probably revisit the low that we saw in the morning, probably in the morning on the 5th. Very well may likely see that low again. Not necessarily between the 8 and 10 a.m. hours, but somewhere throughout the day here, probably towards the end of the day. In any case, between 8 and 10 a.m. we have this sideways rotation. We rise to meet the nearest resistance, and then we fall back down and continue rotating sideways along that support level. And then there's a trade opportunity in a trough around 10:30ish, probably around 10:30ish, give or take 20 minutes, and we do like a sideways fluctuating rally out of that trough. That rally precedes a decline, but it looks like that sideways fluctuating rally turns into the establishment of support, and then another prominent move higher standing out on a one-day chart somewhere between noon and 2 p.m. And then off of that prominent move higher, there's a notable move to the downside, again revisiting a support level that we recently revisited. This is probably where we see the low, somewhere at the end of the day, and that's also a cross-reading congruency. We have the Hermit card here, we have the Hermit card as the 6th on the 1 month, so pretty strong decline here to revisit a support level that we recently saw. And then around 4 p.m. there's a prominent move higher. It'll stand out on a one-day chart. it looks like after establishing support somewhere around 4 a.m. or a little bit before 4 a.m., that support can be relied upon, and then there's a prominent move a little bit after 4 a.m. to the upside, standing out on a one-day chart. Rally increases with momentum moving forward in time between roughly 6 and 8, taking us into a day's high. And that day's high is followed by a sharp decline into what could be a day's low, but a prominent low here, probably a day's low here in the last 4 hours of the day, probably somewhere between 8 and 10 p.m. It is possible that it's somewhere between 10 and 12 p.m. So let's say the last 4 hours, somewhere in there, there's a significant move to the downside. And that's probably where we see... Matter of fact, I think the low is between 8 and 10, and then there's a prominent move to the upside. Somewhere between 10 and 12, the decline ends with a fast, sudden move higher. Yeah, and that Magus card is more bullish. But then we're seeing some like foretelling of a notable decline, at least in the beginning of the following day. Sneak preview for the following day is we successfully turned resistance into new support. And there's a significantly bullish volume throughout the day here on the 6th, so that's something to be mindful of. We'll probably create this peak here, and then we sell off pretty notably here at the end of the day. That's Ethereum for the 6th of June, 2023. Let me know what you think by hitting that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Most importantly, my friends, make sure to follow that rule of karma. You do so on the resources tab of our website, Tarot for Traders, where we ask that you donate 5% of the profits that you make from this information forward to one of the charities here on our resources tab. ASPCA, Cancer Institute, AFA, which is the Alzheimer's Foundation, Parapsychology Foundation, Association, the APDA, American Parkinson's Disease Association, ALS Association, and the Nature Conservancy. 5% to one of those charities, guys, that guarantees that the flow of abundance continues onward through the universe and comes full circle back around to you again. We ask that you donate 5% of the profits back to the charity, back to the channel here at Cashapp, PayPal, Venmo, or Wise. Doing that allows us to continue putting out free content, guys, and moving forward with this channel. So thank you very much to all the angel investors out there following this rule of karma. Make sure to spend that money out of love. As long as you follow these rules when utilizing this information to make money, the universe is going to send it back to you tenfold through this channel, my friends. I'll see you on the next one.